Everything we love goes. So to be able to grieve that loss, to let go, to have that grief be absolutely full, is the only way to have our heart be full and open. If we're not open to losing, we're not open to loving. Jay Shetty. This expands on the truth that love itself is a risk. It invites pain and grief. Pain from differences, arguments, or rejection. Grief from separation, change, or death. Either way, love cannot be love without accepting the possibility of loss. Most people believe loss is the end, but it can creep in through arguments, emotional distance, shifting goals, or eroded trust. Loss is inevitable in any relationship, romantic or not. What makes it worthwhile is in choosing to take the risk and actively nurturing the relationship, even when it's difficult. Safety and risk rarely coexist. To move forward is to accept uncertainty. In the words of Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. Love is to commit fully every day, not only when it's easy or convenient, but also on the difficult and uncertain days. When one loves, they do. They show up, they commit, they risk, and they give. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be genuine. Even if a person's capacity to love is low, they take measures to grow that capacity. What it cannot be is testing boundaries, half loves, or trying to love someone. Love must be followed through on, and if that's not possible, it must be broken off. There is no room for hesitation in a relationship. Once someone hesitates, it begins to break. The film Together reflects this tension, showing how badly people long for connection, yet push it away for fear of rejection, loss of autonomy, or the potential heartbreak. Released in 2025 and directed by Michael Shanks, Together follows a long-term couple, Millie and Tim, who are slowly drifting apart, stuck between fully committing to each other or going their separate ways. Marketed as a body horror, this film goes beyond that and artistically depicts the pain, risk, and grief loving someone can bring, especially when it comes to long-term stability. In one scene, Tim talks about the night he visited his parents. He opened their bedroom door to find his mother tearfully smiling at him. Besides her laid his dad's decaying corpse. She had woke to find her other half was gone, and her brain just snapped. She couldn't process it. Still going to bed each night next to that face. The horrible smell, breathing him in like fresh air. This discovery is what led Tim to become emotionally and mentally distant. Losing a loved one is one of the heaviest burdens a couple will carry together. And for Tim, this disturbing encounter became a haunting symbol. It made him fearful of allowing himself to fully rely on Millie, as it puts him at risk of shattering emotionally the way his mother did, were he ever to lose her. Thus, to avoid this unbearable pain, he began pulling away from Millie. The most notable evidence of this is on the night of Millie's proposal. Tim's hesitation causes Millie to question whether they should separate now, stating, "If we don't split now, it will only be harder later." Tim is distressed by this idea and comforts Millie as they get ready for bed. However, he hears her mutter, "Everyone knows you need me more than I need you. We laugh about it. Resenting me doesn't make you less of a failure. Can you ask them to leave? I can't sleep with them staring at us." We are then shown a connected bed with his parents on the other side. Opposite of Tim is his mother, and opposite of Millie is Tim's father. This nightmare is a clear parallel of his fear, him becoming his mother and losing himself as he gets closer to his partner. He had unknowingly began resenting Millie, as his subconscious had shown in that nightmare. The film makes this apparent in subtle ways, such as Tim changing his jacket upon hearing Millie say, "Everyone thinks we're so cute for matching," or when Tim jokingly says he's trapped here during a dinner with Millie's coworker. The most direct display of resentment on both ends was in the moment they argued about the sacrifices they've made for each other. Millie frustrated at how she's waited on the sidelines for his impossible dreams, and how she feels as though he's sabotaging her now that it's his turn. Tim demonstrating loss of independence as he sacrificed his whole life to move to the countryside for her. The resentment they've been holding and the tabs they've been keeping quickly moves their dependency into unhealthy territory. Now, a healthy dependency is a mutual reciprocity of reliability, support, and more between individuals. This healthy dependence can become imbalanced and lead to codependency, where one person becomes the designated caretaker of the relationship, much like Millie. Oftentimes, this can be characterized with one person giving more than they are receiving. So much so, they will do anything to maintain the relationship, such as overgiving, enabling unhealthy behaviors, or neglecting one's own boundaries and needs. If left unaddressed, this unhealthy dynamic can turn toxic with a high chance of abuse. But if these unhealthy patterns are identified and worked on through mutual effort, the relationship has a chance to go into a healthier, secure dynamic, one where neither partner is afraid to overly depend or rely on each other, which was Tim and Millie's reality before the trauma. This leads me to a phenomenon known as the dependency paradox. It states that true self-sufficiency develops by fully accepting your partner's need for you and your own need for them. In this way, real emotional security and independence comes from embracing your mutual dependency on each other, and not from avoiding it. Brooke Feeney at Carnegie Mellon University performed a series of studies that showed this concept in action. One study involved romantic partners participating in a survey to gauge how dependent they are on each other. Then one partner, known as the recipient, was given a puzzle to solve. During the puzzle, the recipient would receive hints from their partner via message. Those in mutually dependent relationships mostly ignored or rejected the hints as they wanted to solve the puzzle on their own. Those in less dependent relationships mostly accepted the hints and relied on guidance as they didn't feel confident to solve the puzzle on their own. Therefore, the results revealed the paradox. Having a partner who accepts your need for support and is open about their need for your support can actually foster autonomy and bring the relationship closer together. This is where Millie and Tim's relationship goes wrong. Millie seeks closeness while Tim retreats, which in turn doesn't allow space for them to rely on each other. It is only through the monstrous entity where they begin to see the real toxicity in their situation. During this fearful experience, Millie and Tim realize three things. The film uses symbolism to demonstrate these realizations. One being the mangled combined bodies that represent the push-pull dynamic. The more this couple pulled away and resisted the enmeshment, the more they became horribly disfigured and in pain. They clung to each other, yet resisted fully surrendering to each other. They let fear take control, and in return they suffered. This is further supported by the Rat King Tim found in their light fixture. The Rat King symbolizes being completely intertwined in unhealthy patterns. The more the rats tried to pull away, the more stuck they became, which often led to all the rats involved dying. The second realization was as Tim was preparing to sacrifice his life for Millie, but it was too late. Millie was already bleeding out, and his presence was expediting it. This represents the unhealthy codependent dynamic where oftentimes the caretakers are drained emotionally and mentally from carrying the relationship that they no longer have any more to give. Millie was prepared for things to end this way and accepted her fate. Tim realized, too late, how much he needs Millie in his life. If Tim had decided to passively accept this fate, then he would have to accept living in a world where Millie doesn't exist. But at least he remains safe. Fortunately, Tim was willing to surrender the comfort of safety for the uncertainty ahead, so long as Millie was by his side. He combined their arms, saving Millie's life. When she woke up, she said, "I was trying to let you go," to which Tim responded, "Did you want to let me go?" In that moment, they made the mutual decision to surrender to each other. Together, despite their fear and pain, they embraced each other and began to merge. A beautiful cinematic metaphor of the dependency paradox. The more you depend on your partner, the more individual you become. Like Tilly, Millie and Tim's combined form, you won't be the same person, but you'll be a different version of yourself. One who loves fully and is loved fully in return. In today's dating culture, self-sufficiency and autonomy are often celebrated, and dependence on a partner is seen as weakness. However, humans have a natural need for connection, and real love demands vulnerability. The true challenge is committing to the hardships of a relationship with the same dedication given to its ease, comfort, and happiness. After all, people can only be open to loving if they are open to losing, a courage Tim demonstrated at the end of the film. Courage comes from the Latin word cor, which means heart. At its core, it means to have the heart and inner strength to confront the unknown and take action despite the potential risk. Without risk, love becomes mere attachment at best and indifference at worst. Together captures this truth beautifully, making it my favorite body horror romance film.